got the Gapster back.
I'm back. I'm
She's
here.
back. It's good to have you.
Thanks. Good
Uh,
to be here.
yes. We okay. So as always, the
What day is
beginning.
it? It's
It
Thursday.
is. It's Thursday.
I'm like,
This week has
I'm
been
off.
pretty
I'm
wild.
off.
Like I feel like every day is packed full of stuff. So you don't,
Agreed.
yeah.
Agreed. It has been hectic.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
And the weather too has been kind of, at least over here, has been crazy.
it is crazy. No, it's
Because
crazy.
like it's
It was into the
hot and then
high.
pouring and then hot
Yeah,
and
it was in the
pouring
high
and
90s here yesterday and the day
oh.
before. It was just a sweat box. And today it's actually like chilly by comparison.
No, it is. Well,
Yeah.
because the last couple of days, I think it's been like we had the 110, heat index. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, same.
with
Mm-hmm.
the humidity and everything is just awful. That's the thing about here. It'll be in the 90s, but the humidity here, and I've lived in Tampa, Florida.
Bad.
I've lived in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, which is right outside Biloxi, right?
Oof. Yeah,
And
that's yeah.
they're really hot, but I'm telling you, the humidity in I don't know what it is in southeastern
Hmm.
Virginia, even North Carolina. I mean, by the water though, it is so sticky humidity wise. But
Oh,
off of the Gulf is too because there's no wind, right? And like
yeah.
on the west, I mean on the east side, because I had family in Fort Lauderdale. On the east side of Florida, right? It's nice. I mean, there's that breeze coming off the Atlantic, but and you would think
Hmm.
here, but you're just enough. There's just enough, like, we're rivers and stuff in the way of the ocean that there's
I
not. Anyways,
know. I know. It's
uh,
it's bad. It's bad. I mean, and it's hot. It's
it is
just
hot.
hot.
Ugh. Well, welcome everybody. Sorry we had to commiserate about the
About
heat.
the weather.
Yes. So as always, kindly like and subscribe to us.
Mhm.
Also, please leave a comment in the chat. We've got Professor Tracy from Minnesota. We got Mike from Toronto. Cool. We've got Strange Stormcat from Washington State. Love it. Good to see you guys. So, what are we talking about? Oh, Appaloosa from Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's
Ooh.
funny. It makes me think of that. That just makes me. What was the in Forrest Gump where he's like, remember he says everybody's names is like a name of a different city and then they're from a different state. You know
Oh,
what I mean? There's like there's what is there? There's Phoenix. He's from New York,
yeah.
and then he says Tex, and I'm not sure where Tex is from. And then,
And then there's Brooklyn. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for
yeah, there's
sure.
Brooklyn from Seattle or from Washington. Yeah, it's just like But anyways, wow, we had a lot of people talking. Gene from Oregon. Uh, Somebody named Voiceover. Yes, from South Dakota. Oh, it's Nancy. Sorry, Nancy. Just like saying it's from Nancy. Uh,
Well,
um.
and as we
Anyways, it's
always
great to
say,
have you guys. So, what are we talking
obviously,
about today? What are we talking
well,
about today?
we've got the SAG-AFTRA discussion on
Mm,
deck. That being said, as always, we encourage questions and things
yeah,
that you guys want to talk about.
absolutely.
Um, but SAG-AFTRA, I think, is one of those things that a lot of people, especially when you're just starting out, it's tough. It's tough to kind of demystify. People don't really understand it. They
Hmm.
don't know what it takes to be eligible. What does the union do? I mean, there's a lot. So, yeah, where do you want to start, Anthony?
Yeah, I think. So I think remember a great place to start. I just want to kick off the bare bones of what the idea of the union is,
Mm-hmm.
and just not much, 1 to 2 minutes on a really 100,000 foot view of the history of it or why in the end it started. Okay, so SAG-AFTRA, or in our particular case for voice actors, that came of course later. But the idea of a union, right, in this case was
Any
at a
labor
time,
union.
especially in our
Yeah.
country, especially in the United States, there was a lot of advantage being taken on performers and nothing that was offered to performers in the way of an actual career, any protections, any sort of, just like anything that a union forms, but particularly actors really were struggling having any sort of real future in the industry,
Yeah.
and even from normal work hours, health insurance, all these different things. But it was mainly a big reason. Mainly, this started. was from a little girl who was really taken advantage of horrifically. I mean, if
Mhm.
you look about it in our times, and sadly they then moved her to Canada to do it
Was
in
it
Canada.
not was it not related to Shirley Temple?
That's who I'm talking about, is
Ah,
Shirley
okay.
Temple, right?
Yeah.
So, they worked that little girl to the bone, and then what I said, unfortunately, then they moved her to Canada after they made the laws in the
Mm,
U.S. and
mm,
did it to her in Canada. But the point
mm,
is, right, is that the union allowed us to establish, all right, protections, and I would say
yeah.
protections, but more so legitimizing the profession of being an actor or performer, meaning like there was a retirement, there was rules that you had to pay into taxes, you had
Mhm.
to do certain things, work hours, days, there was time off, there's things that had to be done which didn't happen before, wasn't there. So yeah, so that was the idea, the big 20,000 foot view
Yeah.
of the union,
And
right,
work
to protect.
conditions as a whole, I
Hmm.
think, that's, what any labor union, that's what they're
Right.
concerned with is the conditions that you're put under, fair pay, regulation of the amount of hours you can work, all that stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. So anyways, so as time goes on, fast forward to now, there's a couple of different for performers in general, right? There's different unions.
Mhm.
Okay, there's one, of course, for actors for the screen, and recently, a lot of especially with film, as that's called SAG-AFTRA, there's been some combinations, right, coming together. Was there's a
Mhm.
Screen Actors Guild, but some of these weren't combined, and voiceover wasn't in there in the
Yeah, when I
past.
got started, they were completely separate.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And but you also have the union for the workers, who work on set,
Mhm.
and then you also have the union for stage actors.
Mhm.
Okay, that's different, right?
Yeah.
There's a different union, and you become union members differently for all of those. So yeah, so there's a bunch of that, but right now for us as voice actors, right, the union that you know looks out or we work with is SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah.
Um, so Gabby, why don't you tell us, so if what maybe just from a standpoint of I'm an voice actor, I'm interested in
Mm.
SAG-AFTRA, what I
Mhm.
mean, what are the pros, what are the benefits of joining, and how do you begin to go that route?
So one of the biggest benefits I would say, and the thing you hear people talk about most is healthcare. Um, there's anybody who's been in the performing arts for a long period of time knows that there were very few options prior to the Healthcare Act,
Right.
um, to be able to afford and obtain your own health insurance. So actors were really kind of screwed. I mean, I remember stories from 10, 15, 20 years ago of actors like crying, just tears of pure joy when they finally got their health insurance through the union because we had almost no options. It was
Hmm.
very, very scary. And so that's something that the union does is they strive to standardize healthcare, make healthcare accessible, make it more affordable for the members of the group as a whole. They also offer retirement options, right?
Right.
There's 401ks and pensions are a big thing, right? Because I mean actors in many cases, I mean any number of things can
Right.
happen, but if your career ends, then what?
Right.
And so you can pay in dues to a pension plan that will accrue and accumulate for you later in life. And even things like life insurance, death benefits, accidental insurance, right? I mean, again, all those things that keep most adults up at night.
Hmm.
So so the union does an amazing job of offering these things. Those are the big pros. The other thing is regulation of payment and making certain that you are paid in a timely manner.
Hmm.
On union jobs, clients have to pay pretty quickly, and if they don't, the job starts to accrue late fees and interest. And again, the union regulates all of that, which is lovely.
Yes.
So that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean those are I would say the biggies. At least for voice actors, right? Again, for other disciplines there may be other things.
Hmm.
That's the pro list. The con list is that it's expensive, right? You have to be earning a certain amount of money
Which was a
to.
which came out
Mhm.
even more so recently within the last, right, when there was the strike,
Yeah.
and a lot of which was interesting to me because it almost made me think, why didn't we as actors or voice actors, come out sooner and say the things that are happening to them? Because if you remember when everyone went on strike,
Mm.
so many voice actors, I mean actors pretty much, but actors and voice actors in general started doing socials about what they were actually earning and the challenges they were literally facing, and that they weren't actually getting all of these benefits that the country as a whole assumed that all, like, because again, all you see is the 0.01% of all actors and voice actors
Mhm.
are the Tom Cruises and the rich,
Yeah,
super rich people,
that's
right?
it.
There was, like, it's literally
Yeah,
0.1% of all of us.
and
So when
that's
you
what
see them,
sucks.
you just assume, because that's all you see, unless you know something, that that's how it is for generally everybody, right? And it is so far from, it's just like CEOs of big corporations and then the person man in the front desk. It's just, it's not the same.
Absolutely, and the
Yeah.
general public's viewpoint, right, is that actors are, "Oh my god, they make so much
Right.
money anyway, they
Right,
should
right,
just
right,
shut
right.
up." But yes, the Hollywood elite is like 1%. What's
Yeah,
underneath
very
them
small.
is the
Very
rest of
small.
us. And
Exactly.
it's not just performers, it's anyone and everyone who makes a living from the acting arts, costume designers, set designers, stunt
It's
people.
unreal
Oh
how
my god.
many people and how much, engineers. I mean, the thing that, people, and it's
Mhm.
because I was, I did the technical side for a long time as well in theater, and there's
Mm,
so much engineering, there's so much design, there's so much technical skills
mhm.
that people who I mean, just real, you've got your engineering degree, you've your architects, I mean, all sort designers,
Yeah,
there's the people who you see or hear, that literally is, like that picture of the iceberg. It is literally
yeah.
the little thing you see at the top, the little peak, and then there's this massive group making all of it happen underneath, right?
You know what's really funny? Because I mean, again, I think this is where streaming services have kind of done us a disservice.
Mm.
It used to be when you saw a movie, there were credits, and the
Mm.
credits were enormous, and if you really
Oh yeah.
look at movie credits, the reason it takes 10 minutes to go through the credits is because there were that many people that
Yes.
it took to make a freaking movie.
Yes.
And now streaming services, what do? The minute the credits come on, they go, "Do you wanna skip to the next thing?"
Yeah.
Or they automatically load. So, like, credits are becoming, yeah, like, they're becoming an
Yeah.
afterthought, and that kinda sucks.
So I do think, unfortunately, so a few more cons, sadly,
Mhm,
is that, just like anything else, when you demand these things, right?
mhm,
Which I mean, I think everybody would agree, it is an enormous value. But when you demand these things in a free capitalist society,
right,
unfortunately, not everyone is going to sign on, and meaning, like, have these contracts to
mm,
work with SAG-AFTRA.
yeah,
So that means that there is not, and this was something again that came out, the amount of work. I always say, and just like platforms, right? Like, after a while, a platform that, or someone's bringing in a lot of work, there'll be a lot of mouths to feed, and in the end, too many,
mhm,
right? Because it's just so that happens, right? So a lot of the complaints that you'll get from people is, I'm not getting enough opportunities, I'm not getting enough work. I really am. I'm in the union, but I'm working two jobs.
mhm,
You know
mhm,
that that old chestnut, right? With a funny story of the actor who's working at Starbucks and working two jobs, that's very, I mean, that's real,
It is real.
right? I mean, it's real, and it's and the thing in our industry, right, just as all of you all know, is one thing that's exciting is that a job starts and ends and there's a new exciting opportunity. The sad thing is that the job ends
Yeah.
quickly, and
Wow.
you have to find a new one over and over again. So that's it. So the downside is being able to find steady, high enough paying work that gets you over. What was it? Was it 30 grand? What was the threshold? It was 29, 30 grand. I don't know if that's changed
It's
to actually
changed.
qualify for, the health and
Well,
the benefits, right?
part of it is it varies based on location. It
Mm,
varies based on where you live and which territory you're in, because they calculate earnings ratios based on potential. And so
okay.
if you live in an area where you are less likely to be able to make a significant amount of money with the union, then they lower that threshold.
Right.
So it does, it varies quite a bit. And I mean, look, I grew up in the shadow of New York City,
Mm,
where it was a joke that I heard my whole life. Every single person that was your waiter or waitress or bar back, anybody who worked in the food service industry, when you asked them what they did for a living, they were an actor.
an actor.
And we would just roll our eyes and go, "Uh-huh, sure." And it's sad because you're right. That's the reality. And it's one of the reasons why, for a long time, as a voice actor, I kind of railed against being called an actor, because in
Mm,
my mind, an actor was somebody who was unemployed.
right.
And I didn't want that association. So I wanted to line myself up more with a business owner. But yeah, it's changed. It's changed, I think, for the better in terms of people's viewpoint, but there's still so much we have to contend with.
No, there is
Yeah,
absolutely, and
yeah.
I do think
So,
I do think that you have to consider. So the what when I grew up or when I was young in the theater, right? The big questions that were always asked to whether you go union or not
mm,
was that there is there's doors that open, but there's also
mhm.
doors that close
Yes.
because one of the big rules out of all of this stuff, they have rules,
Hmm.
right? And one of the big rules is you do not do work
Outs
with non-contracted,
outside of the union.
outside of
Mhm,
the union, right? So if there's a company, which I have a actual story
mm.
about that, but go ahead, you were gonna say something.
Well, what I was gonna say is now, oh, Edwin's in Charlotte. Hey, bud. I was gonna say that there is a category that allows you to do both union and non-union work, but
Mm,
it's not ideal. So, a number of years ago, Financial Core, that's what it's called, FICOR, became this sort of, I've always said you're a non-member member if you go FICOR or you declare FICOR status. First of all, you can't go back. You can't undo FICOR. The second thing is, while yes, it allows you and it opens you up to being able to do both union and non-union projects based on, again, where you live, because, like, that's a big factor in this. But you've been stripped of all your voting rights. You've been stripped of a
mm.
lot of your member privileges. So you go, wait a minute, why would I do that? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's so, when as you know, we have Academy Voices, which is part of VO Journey Academy,
Hmm.
and we have worked with all sorts of voice actors. And, when I was looking at, because this was something new to me from the other side. So,
Mm,
I had a lot of potential SAG-AFTRA voice actors who were interested in being a part of the voiceover, the Academy Voices community and voice actors. And I had not worked with union voice actors in actually hiring them.
mm,
So I was like, well, I'm going to call the union and just get some information about hiring voice actors as part of the union. And first off, I have to tell you, the woman I talked to, who was actually very nice, she was very nice.
mhm,
She seemed dumbfounded at my question of hiring a voice actor that was SAG-AFTRA and that I didn't have some sort of contract with SAG-AFTRA. Like she didn't understand why I wanted to hire a SAG-AFTRA actor if I had no affiliation with
Mm.
SAG-AFTRA, if I didn't have because as you what if you don't know so the reason how the union is able to do what they do is because they go to these corporations or these big businesses or these places that are hiring voice actors, and they get them to sign a contract
Yeah.
with them. That's how they hold their feet to the fire, right?
Yeah.
So not everybody has it. So, anyways,
Mhm.
she was very nice, but so that was the first thing. But then basically the idea is she's like, you can there is a way, right? So you can follow the price payment, payments, and you can
Mhm.
actually call and get like a temporary status to work,
Mhm.
and everything like that. But in general, they're not supposed to be working at all with anyone that is not under contract with SAG-AFTRA at all, and they're not supposed to be doing that. And the challenge then comes: can you? So in the end, the whole idea is: can you make a living doing that or not, because it opens some doors but closes a
Mhm.
bunch of others. So
Mhm.
that's always, I think, the kind of question, especially for us voice actors, is that we always have to ask, is it which one is which? So a lot of us, as we go along, we make a choice.
Yeah.
We decide what we're going to do one way or the other.
Mhm.
And, we make them. Some go,
Yeah.
some don't.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so I think I've personally never been a person to say you should do this and you should not do that, because all of our situations are different, and meaning like what do you want to do and where
And
you want to
and
go
also,
is different.
how do you wanna set up your business, right?
Mm,
Nowadays, actors can set up corporations, we
right.
can, right, make our own LLCs, we can do all sorts of things that basically bypass some of the need for what a union supplies, and you can do that on top of being in the union as well, um, but also,
That's a
yeah,
good point. That's a very good point, right? There's a difference
yeah,
there, because the idea of being any union is that you're a worker, right? You're not the business owner
mhm,
yourself, right? And
mhm,
that's really muddy lines there.
mhm, it is now,
Yeah, that's a really good
um,
question. We did have one quick question,
yeah.
and we could talk about this for so much
Oh my
longer.
gosh, we could.
But John did have a question up, I saw, and it was about the hobo fort.
Yeah, he had a question about hobo forts, and I wrote down his follow-up question because I think
Uh-huh.
it's a great topic. So John was saying, he wants to know what kind of materials to use for the frame, and then he asked about standing or sitting being better for VO. So, John, what I would recommend is go back and listen to Monday and Tuesday and the episodes that we did on just that, because we did talk a lot about different frame materials and like PVC and stick build and all that. And
Mhm.
your sit or stand discussion, I think, is a good one to kick off tomorrow.
I think that's an excellent one.
Yeah,
Well, tomorrow's Friday too.
it is
So tomorrow will
Forum
be
Friday.
open forum Friday, and we'll have a
Mhm.
nice we can have a nice discussion about the sitting or standing. I love that.
Love
Good
that.
topic for
Okay,
tomorrow.
what
Well,
else do we have?
thank you all so much. And just real quick, we've had an incredible beginning to our next semester at VO Journey. This is a great time to get in and join and be a part of that. With some great
Yes.
classes tonight, we have our VO Journey Outspoken Women, our Bojo
Mhm.
session. Very excited about that.
Me too.
And then tomorrow we have our audiobooks specialty class. So we're excited about
Mhm.
that. So check it out. We'd love to have you. Now it's time to get in 50% off the first month to give us a shot. We love you all. Have a good day. See you
Till
mañana.
tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.